You're at a dinner party. Maybe it's a work thing. Maybe it's your partner's friends, doesn't matter. And someone makes a joke. It's not even a great joke. Honestly, it's kind of a dumb joke. But you laugh anyway because they looked at you while they said it. And then you notice they didn't look at the person next to you. They looked at you, and your brain goes, "Oh no, I'm the one who's supposed to react. I have to react correctly. I have to make them feel good about their joke, because if I don't, they'll think I'm cold, or I don't get it, or I'm judging them." So you laugh. Too loud. Too long. The laugh that makes your partner give you that sideways look, the one that says, "Okay, you can stop now." But you can't stop, because if you stop too abruptly, that's also weird. That's also a signal that you were performing, which you were. And now you're trapped in the laugh. You're performing ease while feeling absolutely none of it. And later, in bed, you replay it. The joke, your laugh, their face. Did they notice? Did they think you were fake? Did they like you? Did they? Are you okay? Are they okay? Are we okay? This is the exhausting architecture of the approval-seeking mind. And if you're someone who needs to be liked, I mean really needs it, like a low-grade panic when someone's tone shifts even slightly, you've probably spent your entire life believing this is a flaw, a weakness, maybe even a character defect that makes you weaker, needier, more pathetic than the people who just don't care, who say what they want, who leave rooms without saying goodbye to everyone, who exist in the world like they're not constantly auditioning for it. Let me tell you something that might crack that open, okay? That need to be liked isn't a glitch in your personality. It is a deeply adaptive, evolutionarily sound, biologically wired survival system that kept your ancestors alive when being rejected from the group meant being eaten by something with bigger teeth than you. Here's the thing. Humans are the only primates whose infants cannot survive alone. We are born helpless for years. Years. A baby giraffe can walk in an hour. A human baby can barely hold its own head up at 3 months, which means for our entire evolutionary history, staying attached to caregivers was not a preference. It was a life-or-death condition. And that attachment system doesn't just disappear when you're 35 at a dinner party, laughing too hard at a mediocre joke. It's still there. It's always been there. It's called the belongingness hypothesis, and it was formalized by psychologists Roy Baumeister and Mark Leary in 1995. And I want to say this clearly because it changes everything. They argued that the need for social connection is as fundamental as the need for food and water. Not secondary, not optional, fundamental. You need to belong to survive. And what does belonging require? It requires being liked, or at least tolerated. But liked is better, right? Liked means safe. Liked means they won't turn on you. Liked means you have a place at the fire. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. That system that keeps you alive, it doesn't care if you're performing. It doesn't care if it costs you your energy, your authenticity, your sense of who you actually are. It just cares that you stay in the group. And so your brain has become hyper-vigilant to the tiniest social cues, a half-second pause in a text reply, someone's eyes moving away while you're talking, a LOL that's slightly less enthusiastic than the previous LOL. Your brain treats these as threats, as rejection. And rejection, by the way, lights up the same neural regions as physical pain. Naomi Eisenberger at UCLA did a study in 2003. She put people in an fMRI scanner and had them play a virtual ball-tossing game where they were eventually excluded, and their dorsal anterior cingulate cortex lit up. That's the same brain region that processes physical pain. Rejection literally hurts. It hurts like you were punched. So that need to be liked. That frantic, embarrassing, please God don't hate me scramble? That's not weakness. That's your nervous system trying to avoid being in pain. That's your brain going, I have been hurt before, and I am not going to be hurt again, so I will make everyone like me, and then nobody will reject me, and I will be safe. And you've probably gotten really, really good at it. You know exactly what to say. You know exactly how much eye contact is the right amount. You know the golden ratio of asking questions versus talking about yourself. You've studied people like their texts to be analyzed. You've become a chameleon. Different versions of you for different groups. None of them quite wrong, but none of them quite you either. And the tragedy is, it works. People like you. They do. You're warm, you're attentive, you make people feel seen. You are genuinely lovely to be around. But, and here's the secondary truth, the one we don't talk about, you don't actually believe they like you. You believe they like the version you're performing. Because if they saw the real you, the one who's tired, who disagrees, who sometimes wants to sit in silence, who might not have the perfect thing to say, they'd leave. You know they'd leave. So you keep performing because performing is safe, and being real is terrifying, and that is the most exhausting double bind in the history of human psychology. And it gets worse, because here's where the self-criticism comes in, the secret shame you carry. You judge yourself for needing to be liked. You call yourself desperate. You call yourself a people pleaser like it's a disease. You see other people who seem to just exist without this weight, and you think, what is wrong with me? Why am I so needy? Why do I care so much about what other people think? But you care because caring kept you alive. And you need to hear this. That part of you that desperately wants to be liked is not the enemy. It is a protector. It is the part of you that learned early. Maybe from a parent whose love felt conditional, maybe from school where you were teased, maybe from a culture that told you your worth was in how others perceive you. It learned that being liked equals being safe, and being disliked equals being abandoned. And it has been working overtime, non-stop, for years to keep you from that abandonment. You might even be a little grateful to it, if you could step back and see how hard it's working. Psychologists call this the concept of conditional positive regard, and Carl Rogers was the one who really put a name on it. When you grow up receiving love based on meeting certain conditions, being good, being quiet, being successful, being agreeable, you internalize the idea that you are only lovable if you learn to hide the parts of yourself that might not meet those conditions. You curate, you prune, you become a beautiful, socially acceptable version of a person. But that version is a cage. And the thing is, you can't be liked if you're not known, and you can't be known if you're performing, which means the approval you're chasing is approval for a ghost. So you have to ask yourself, and I want you to ask this for real, out loud maybe, when no one's listening. Who am I when I'm not trying to be liked? What do I actually think? What do I actually want? What would I say if I weren't scanning your face for signs of discomfort while I said it? Because the answer to that question, the real answer, is where you start to breathe again. And the people who are meant to stay, they'll stay for that person. The messier one. The one who doesn't always have the right joke. The one who, sometimes, just doesn't laugh because it wasn't that funny. And I know that's terrifying. I know it feels like jumping off a cliff. But the weight you're carrying, the constant monitoring, the calculating, the rehearsing, the replaying, that's the weight of being someone you're not. You can put it down, not all at once, not perfectly, but you can start. Here's what I want you to take with you. Your desire to be liked is not your weakness. It is the evidence of your deep, aching, beautiful humanity. A humanity that was built for connection, built for love, built for the warmth of other people. You were never wrong for wanting that. You were never bad for needing that. The only thing that went wrong was you learned somewhere along the way that you had to earn it, that it could be taken away, that it was conditional, but you don't have to earn it. Not anymore. Not from the people who truly matter, and not from yourself. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to have opinions that don't fit. You are allowed to be boring sometimes, or awkward sometimes, or just quiet sometimes. You are allowed to be fully seen, and still, miraculously, be okay. So the next time you're at that dinner party, and you feel the pull to perform, the pull to laugh a little too loud, the pull to make everyone around you comfortable at your own expense, try something small. Try just being there. Try trusting that your presence is enough, even when it's not perfect. Because it is. It really, really is. You don't have to make everyone like you. You just have to finally accept that you're already worthy of being liked exactly as you are. And that, right there, is the permission you've been waiting for.